Well, hello, and welcome. I'm Jackie Elmer. Welcome to lowertoxiclife.com, my first live video. And to be completely honest with you, sorry for anybody watching on replay who gets to see all of that. I probably should have done a demo first, but I didn't. So, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started. For those who are watching on the replay, I thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Jackie Elmer. You can go to lowertoxiclife.com and grab my guide for recipes, how to lower chemicals, toxins, how to read grocery labels and a grocery list and all of that. So, here we go. Here we go live. Now, hopefully you had a chance to preview what the menu's going to be. We're going to be doing Brie stuffed and Brie, walnut, and cranberry stuffed chicken breasts, green beans with red onions and bacon. I'm also going to do a fabulous feta cheese with my rosemary almond crackers and a little chocolate delight. Now, one of the things that I love to do is I love to make everything fun, fabulous, and festive, and especially the holiday season. Because if you're going to decorate and you're going to get into that holiday season, it's so amazing to continue that through all the way as much as you can. Tracy, David, I see you. Thank you so much. To continue it all the way through. So I like to go through, set up my calendar. If you haven't watched my video that's here on prepping for Christmas 2024 or the holiday season, the winter season, December, however you view it, whatever you celebrate, you can do this regardless. So I like to take advantage of all the time that I've spent doing decorating. You can watch that video. It's on my channel now. Christmas prep. I also have a charcuterie board, and the charcuterie board series is coming up. So what we're doing today is we're going to make a fun, festive holiday meal. Now today I am celebrating my 38th anniversary of my very first date with my husband. Not my wedding anniversary, but our very first date. So I wanted to do something fun that we could eat together, celebrate together, watch a movie, and turn off all the lights, have candlelight, have the Christmas tree, etc. So I came up with this menu. And one of my goals, I always share, I'm not a professionally trained chef, but I've been cooking for decades. And my goal is to teach people how to simplify their lives, simplify cooking, the whole experience, with simple ingredients that are healthy, nutritious, satiating, and feed literally your mind, your body, and your soul. That's the goal. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to get started with the chicken breasts, all right? And we're going to stuff those. I have some little notes here, so bear with me. I'm going to flip those around so that I can see what I'm doing a little bit here. All right, so the first thing that we do with the chicken breast, I'm going to start the oven so that it is warming up. Let me get it started. 375. So just right over here, I'm going to start my oven. So feel free to start your oven at 375. Now, one of the first things that we do is we slice the chicken breast. Now, I, again, love healthy, nutritious meals. I order from Butcher Box currently. It's organic, pasture-raised chicken, so it's not filled with a lot of junk. I really do believe that you are what you eat, and you are what you eat has eaten, if that makes sense. So I like to be as nutritious as possible. Now, I cheated and defrosted 2 of these just to make sure that they would slice easily. But I will tell you, the real secret is to slice them when they're still slightly frozen. So this particular one is slightly frozen. And you want to be careful, of course, not to get your fingers in there. You have to practice a little bit. These are really sharp knives, but you're just going to cut this a little bit and make a bit of a pocket. Some of my spinach got on there. So you're going to make a little bit of a pocket in there so that we can slide in the rest of it. So that's our chicken. Okay, we're going to stuff it with spinach. Now, I like to store my spinach in glass jars. If you've been on my channel at all, you know that I'm super picky about toxins and chemicals and all of those extra things that can get into our food. Microplastics are a big challenge, and so much of our food today is stored in plastic. So I like to bring things home. I buy as much as I can in glass, bring things home, and then move them into glass as quickly as I can. So there is my spinach. I'm going to chop up walnuts. Okay, it calls for walnuts. And if you go to the community thing, you'll see the recipe. I will have this posted over on my blog. You can go to recipes.lowertoxiclife.com. That'll take you into all my recipes. And I will have this recipe, all of these posted there. So I'm just chopping up my walnuts. You can make them as big or as small as you want. And then I'm going to be stuffing those into the chicken breast. Now, I have a confession to make. I have posted this recipe as one using Brie cheese, but guess what? When I went to the grocery store, they were sold out of Brie. I love Gruyere cheese, and so I bought Gruyere cheese. And at first I thought, well, I hope I don't offend anybody, and I hope that they're not going to think that I'm crazy. But what I want to do is I want to show you some simple techniques that you can use to cook fabulously and to use your refrigerator ingredients you already have. So if you see a recipe and you think, wow, I don't have this particular thing, but I have that. An example is spinach. Let's say you had kale, or you had basil, or you had some other green. You could use that in place of the spinach. So today, I'm using Gruyere cheese instead of Brie. So there's just a little secret for you that you can mix things up. So we're going to cut a little slice. Okay, we're going to slice the Brie or the Gruyere. Now, again, you can make this as thick or as thin as you want. I suggest not making it too thick because you want it to be able to melt there as you cook. I'm going to cut off the little waxy stuff. And then we're just going to stuff all of this in and get that going. I thought my camera was going to be on a different formulation, but you can kind of see me. I don't mean to keep my back to you, but again, this is my very first live cooking class, so I'm going to do the best I can, and here's what I promise you. I'm going to learn as I go, as are you, and we will get better at this. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of spinach. Let me scoot this here. Let me pull the camera just a little bit more forward, okay? We're going to take our spinach, and we're going to stuff it into that pocket. We're going to put that cheese in there, and then just a few of the walnuts in there as well, okay? And then I'm going to drizzle some olive oil right here into my pan. I'm going to drop the lid first. I'm going to heat that up. Now, you know me, I like to use quality cookware. This is my Le Creuset. I literally hauled this back from Paris, and it is heavy. 20 years ago, I've been using this pan, but it's the enamel-coated cast iron, and so it doesn't have any toxins or anything like that. It's well-seasoned, well-used. I cook quiche in this, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to get that olive oil ready. I just drizzled it with a little bit of olive oil, and then we're going to sear these chicken breasts. So let me just get the other two ready to go. Got our spinach. Stuff a little bit of that in there. And again, as much or as little. If you don't like spinach, you don't even have to include it. But like I said, if you have kale, if you have whatever, this one, the pocket didn't turn out quite so great. You can also use toothpicks to secure these if you need to, to keep them a little bit better. We'll put the walnuts in here and get that baby ready to go. Now, here's what I'm going to promise you. My finished product might not look quite as beautiful as the picture that I showcased for this, but that's okay. We start with fabulous food, and over time, we build that into presentation. All right, so now this one's ready, and I'm just going to slide the camera around, and I'm just going to put these in here. Oops, I forgot the cheese in that one. That's what happens when you're going live. All the things to remember. Get the cheese in there. Now, it said 4 chicken breasts. I actually only have 3, so some of you may be counting, and you can see that. But this one is a big boy. I could have cut it, but I didn't. So we're just going to sear that. You stand by and watch that while I wash my hands real quick. We'll sear both sides of that. And while that's searing, I'm going to make the cranberry sauce. So the cranberry sauce is just a little bit of olive oil. Turn that on in this pan back here. a little bit of balsamic. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about me. I put the measurements in my recipe, but I almost never measure anymore. I remember when my mom started teaching me to cook, it's kind of funny. My dad said forever, "Oh my God, nobody's ever going to want to marry you because you don't cook." That was me growing up. And then I fell in love with cooking, and it's kind of funny because my brother and I both cook. We're both, semi-gourmet kind of cooks. We love trying different things, and neither of us grew up really cooking. My parents cooked. I always say I'm a cereal snob because I grew up with a father who got up every single day and made us breakfast. 1 cup of cranberries, going to put it in here. And we're just going to let that cook down a little bit. I'm going to put a lid on it. Now we're going to flip these chicken breasts because our goal with this is just to sear them. I don't want that cheese to melt too much. I just want to get them a little bit seared so that they're kind of browned, or the start of cooking. I can hear that my oven is on and ready. I probably should have put that big piece of cheese in the one. Hopefully you can see this okay. So now we're just cooking that, and we've got the cranberry sauce cooking down here. And the nice thing is I'm going to be able to just use this, pop it right in the oven, and this will be my searing dish as well as my baking dish. So we've got that cooking. Now, the next thing that I wanted to make is I wanted to make a green vegetable to go along with this. So I'm making green beans with red onions and bacon. So I'm going to start with another one of my cast iron ceramic pans. I'm going to actually cook the bacon in this. I don't need anything extra. I've got my bacon already cut up. I just used 1 strip of bacon, and I put it in here. Just put it in my pan, and now I'm just going to cook that down, add the red onion. We'll get that going, and we'll finish that up while the rest of it is cooking. Now, I'm also going to show you how to make my little fun chocolate dessert, and we're also going to do a baked feta cheese appetizer with my rosemary almond crackers. All right, so my chicken breasts are getting somewhat seared. The top of them is seared. You can see here, and my cranberry sauce is basically ready to go. So we're just going to shut the cooking off of both of these. I'm just going to evenly put the cranberry on here. Oh, you know what I forgot to add to the, this? See, this is what happens when you cook live. But the good thing is, if you were even, well, you're cooking live all the time, even in person. I'm going to drizzle all this. But it also calls for honey. So normally you would put that in there. I'm just going to drizzle it with a little bit of honey. And we're good to go. Let me grab my oven mitts, and we will pop that baby in. Even they're kind of festive. We will pop that into the oven. Well, I started my oven without taking out the things that I store in there. What happens when you go live? That's okay. We got this covered. We'll move this right over here. All right, so we'll pop this into the oven, and it is ready to go. All right, there's our green beans. We'll stir that bacon around right there in the green beans. I've already chopped up my onion. So my onion is chopped up, just a little bit of red onion. You can use onion if you like. If you don't like, you could add garlic. Again, most of the recipes that I use, I try to make them simple and very adjustable, adaptable, depending on what it is that you actually like or don't like, or what your family and friends and neighbors or whoever you're serving. So I'm just going to dump those red onions in there so that they can cook in there with the bacon. Now this bacon is a healthy bacon, so I am going to just add a tiny bit of olive oil because it's not getting quite, it doesn't have quite as much juice in there, if you will, to cook the onions and everything like I like them. So we're going to do that. Now, I'm also becoming aware of one other thing that I forgot to do, which was season my chicken with salt and pepper. So that's very simple too. It's like anything. Whatever you forget to do at the time, don't let cooking intimidate you. You can still fix it. So I'm just going to pop this out, pull this open. Can you see that down there? And I'm just going to dump a little bit of salt, and then you can taste it when it comes out. And if you want to add a little bit more, you can do that. Same with my pepper. I have fresh ground pepper. Just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on there. Now, I typically, well, not typically, I love garlic. So I would probably, if I were doing this over, I would add garlic to my recipe that I'm making. But again, I was just trying to keep this very simple. My oven didn't want to close. Just wanted to keep this very simple and showcase it for you with easy ingredients. And again, just encourage you to know that you can substitute almost anything. Now, that's cooking. Baking is a whole nother game, and it's one thing that I don't do a ton of. A, I don't have a sweet tooth, and B, one thing that drives me crazy is the perfection that's needed with baking. You have to measure perfectly. You have to, take into consideration high altitudes and different things like that. And for me, that's just a challenge. All right, so we have gotten this to where it's pretty good. I'm going to turn this on just simmer for just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to throw in my organic Costco green beans, throw them in there with just a little bit of water, and they will be delicious and ready to go when we are ready to go. In fact, I'm gonna simmer that, and you guys can help remind me to dump those green beans in there. All right, the next thing that we're gonna make is the baked feta cheese. So I have a little glass baking dish here. I'm going to go ahead and turn walk you with me. I have an air fryer toaster oven. It needs to go to 400, bake 400. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I think you can. And then it's only going to need to cook. We're going to try it for 12 minutes and start it. I need to look at that recipe again to see exactly what it says. Let's see, 400 degrees, and it's going to cook. Yeah, it says about 10 minutes, so perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I already have my feta prepped and ready. I just took the feta out. Again, I like to use sheep's feta. If you're lactose intolerant or have had issues, try goat and sheep cheese. There's no guarantee, but I know for me, these do a little better in my system. So I've already drained this. This is my little piece of feta. The recipe calls for a little bit more, but again, it's just the two of us. It's just my husband and I. And so I want to make enough for us to have some, and then we'll have a little bit of leftover as well. So I'm going to start by just drizzling my olive oil. Now, I'm a natural oil person, so I use either extra virgin organic olive oil, or I will use an avocado oil or coconut oil. I do cook with ghee. I also cook with quality bacon fat, and I'm starting to use beef tallow. I avoid seed oils altogether. And again, if you grab my guide over at lowertoxiclife.com, I go into detail, as well as there are lots of videos here on the channel that kind of go into the details of a lot of that and why they work, why they don't work, at least for me. All right, so I have my oil in there. I'm going to move my feta around and then flip it over, and then I'm going to score it, even though it kind of already is, with a knife. Just going to kind of cut an X in it. And then we're going to do the little drizzle over it. So it calls for, it has the oil, it calls for honey, and then you can add balsamic if you want, but I'm going to do my drizzle of honey. Now, the recipe actually calls for hot honey, and I don't know if you've ever had hot honey. I had it for the first time about a year ago. Now, the funny thing is, I lived in the South for 3 years, never had hot honey. And I don't know why, because I'm a Southwestern girl and I love anything hot and spicy. But for some reason, I never got this. So we're just going to coat this with honey. And then it's the same thing. We're going to sprinkle this with walnuts. Now, again, you could use no nuts if you don't like nuts. You can use dates. I would dice up some dates and put in there. You can use dried apricots, dried cranberries. Again, just have fun with this. What are the flavors that your palate enjoys with cheese? So kind of think of it that way. I went ahead and used walnuts, which is kind of funny since I'm using walnuts on my, my main dish as well. And then this recipe calls for just a little sprinkling of thyme. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of thyme on there. This is a light sprinkle. Again, I don't usually measure too much, but I love to be able to taste the spice of things. And that's what it looks like. Now, I don't think, let me see, fresh thyme. You can put crushed red pepper flakes on here if you like. I don't know why, but for some reason that does not sound palatable to me, even though I love spicy. So I am not going to add the red pepper flakes. It also calls for, you can add black pepper if you want. I'm just going to do it with these simple ingredients. And now I'm just going to pop it into my toaster oven, air fryer, and it will go off when it's done. Pick up my lid that fell. All right, now we're going to throw the green beans in. Did you remind me? Did you remember to remind me? Oh, well, that's okay. Maybe you did, and I didn't see it. So I'm just going to pop these in to the pan. Going to add a little bit of water with that. And we're just going to let those cook. I'm going to turn them up just a little bit to low. We'll let those cook and get ready. All right, so we have the chicken in the oven. It'll be ready shortly. We have the green beans that'll be ready about the same time. The feta cheese is baking for our fabulous appetizer. And then I made, which this recipe is on the blog. You can go to recipes.lowertoxiclife.com. There is a search bar there. You can just type in crackers and they should come up. But these are my rosemary, flaxseed, almond flour crackers. So they are gluten-free. I use flax eggs, which the recipe is on there, the entire recipe. And and then a little bit of rosemary and sea salt, and they are fabulous. The thing I love about these, I make this dough, if you will, and then I store it in my little silicone healthy baggies, because I don't use Ziplocs, and I label it with flax, and I will put this is separated into 2 batches, so I will freeze this, and then I can pop it out as I need it, and I can have fresh crackers almost any time. So one recipe makes this amount plus the amount that I made for crackers. Now again, it's just the 2 of us, so I didn't want to overdo it with the number of crackers that I made, so that will be our appetizer. And now I just throw this in the freezer, and again, I love it because if I get invited to a last minute party, or if I decide, hey, I want to make it a fun, festive, fabulous date night tonight at home, I have things that are already there and stored that I can make. So that's the flaxseed crackers. Okay, now then the final thing that I'm going to make while the rest of this is getting ready are my little chocolate delight. Now, I love dark chocolate. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So this is the Trader Joe's. This is what I'm actually using today. 72% cacao dark chocolate chips. There's also the 72%. This is also from Trader Joe's that you can buy in the giant pound size and that you can just chop up and use as you need. And so I have that. I'm not using that today. And then I also, from Sprouts, I'm not showing it, but there's the 85% dark chocolate little nuggets that I use a lot too. And then what I do is I just simply throw those in, a little ramekin. A lot of times I most often heat this on the stove, but I'm going to use the microwave today. You can see I have a tiny bit of coconut oil in there just to kind of make it the consistency, you get the consistency right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just brush that off. I'm going to throw this in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time. Stand by. $30 at a time because you don't want to overcook it and burn it. But if you just do it 30 seconds at a time, and it usually won't even go quite a minute. So I literally just probably sprinkled out a palm size of the chocolate chips, put them in the little ramekin. That's probably about 1.5 teaspoons of coconut oil. And again, you can get it to the consistency that you want. I just like the way the coconut oil kind of breaks up the chocolate and sets it up. And then what I did is I'm going to make two. I'm going to make pecans. So these are just little sections. This is just parchment paper, and it's on a cutting board. So these are my pecans. Did you hear that? Let me go check my chocolate. No, it needs a little bit more. So we'll do that another 30 seconds. And then I am just getting this ready. I have the pecans. And then I have blueberries, organic blueberries. They were frozen. And I'm going to just do some little groupings. And again, there's just the two of us, although you can make these and they freeze. And then you can have them to pop out just whenever you want. My parchment paper got kind of rolled up. I probably should have made 4 of the pecans too, but I didn't, so oh well. All right, grabbing my chocolate. Now see, if I were really Rachel Ray, I'd have a film crew, but I'm solo doing it all. And I see, let's see, yes, dark chocolate. Patty, yay, Patty, you're here. Of course, yes, I'm putting all these recipes. Probably later this afternoon, they'll be on recipes.lowertoxiclife.com. That redirects you right to my Peak Performance Habits blog and website. So now I just have my melted chocolate. I'm just going to drizzle this. Make sure you can see that pretty easily. I'm just going to drizzle this over. I should have only done it 45 seconds. Just to be legit. I'm going to drizzle this over here. And then we just simply freeze this. And you can make it as juicy as you want. A lot of times what I'll do is I will do the top, and then I will put it in the freezer. And then an hour or so later, once it's frozen, I get it out. I turn it over, and then I can drizzle the bottom so that it's fully coated with what I want. And again, these are just simple ingredients that you can keep on hand, dark chocolate and coconut oil. And you know, if you keep berries around, I always have frozen berries in my fridge. And this is another thing that's great to take to parties. If you get invited to a last minute party, or even not last minute, I love to have all this stuff on hand, not just for the holidays, but all year round, so that I have simple things that I can whip up in a moment's notice to celebrate. Maybe it's somebody's birthday, maybe you just, feel like it. You want to celebrate something. Like I said, today is my 38th anniversary of my first date with my husband. So that is why I picked today and am making this fun little festive meal. We went to a fun little jazz club. We lived in Nashville at the time. I kind of have a funny story with that, which I was going to post on Facebook, but we both worked for the airline industry, and we were trying to keep our budding relationship a secret because we used to call it as the prop turns in the airline industry with the inner dating. And so we actually kept our romance a secret for almost 5 months, and it was quite exciting and decadent. I felt like I was having a torrid love affair. We would go to all kinds of little clubs and the mall and different places that were outside of the normal area of where the airline industry hung out. So that was kind of fun. All right, so now I'm just going to pop these in the freezer, and they'll be ready when the rest of our stuff is after dinner. But I'm going to show you something. Hopefully you can still hear me because I have my microphone on. Here's what they look like when they're done because I pre-made these. So Aren't they lovely? And then I serve them on a fun little dish because I'm all about the presentation. I'm not perfect at the presentation by any means, but I try to do the best I can. And I just find if you can have fun stuff, it goes a long way. Now, during Thanksgiving, if you go back to my channel, I did a whole series on tablescapes on Thanksgiving. I have a video I'm editing on how I've used thrift stores, consignment stores, etc., and I have one for Christmas decorating too. But this was actually a plate that my husband's grandmother gifted to us, so it is vintage, and I love it. But there's so many fun things that you can get that just, you have one of these and two of these, but you can make a very eclectic presentation along with the meal that you're serving, and I love that part of it. All right, so our dessert is ready to eat. Let's check our green beans. Oh, and I need to turn these. Oh, nope, the feta cheese is getting good, so let's see how the green beans are doing. They're doing great. That's good. Let's check our chicken. It's looking fabulous. It needs just a couple more minutes, and we will be ready to serve things up. So if you have any questions or comments, definitely pop them in there while I kind of get organized here. Let's see. Happy birthday anniversary. Thank you, Patty. As the prop turns, yes, that was us. I need the recipe for the crackers. They are seriously amazing, and I absolutely love them. I need to adapt the recipe, though. It kind of shorts the salt. It needs a little bit more salt, but I use sea salt. I use a pink Himalayan sea salt. And then I have this, it's kind of funny, the Trader Joe's sea salt crystals. This is actually just the container. I buy Redmond's sea salt, and I love this container though, and so I still use this. So I'm big on salt and getting the right type as well. All right, I mentioned, I'm just gonna share this. This is one of the healthy bacon options I buy. This is the antibiotic-free Applewood smoked bacon from Costco. I buy it. It comes 2 packages. When I get this home, I divide this up anywhere from 4 strips to 10 strips, and I put it in individual containers so that we don't have to eat all of it at once, because I like to use bacon as a condiment, as an accompaniment to what I eat, because it is high in fat, a lot of different things. I believe in healthy fats, for sure, having been every type of person you can imagine except vegan. I've never been vegan because I love cheese too much, but I've been vegetarian, a lot of different things, and I have finally figured out what works for me. But I also like to be reasonable, so this is one of the things that I do with the bacon. All right, so we'll come back to that. And then I mentioned making it fun and festive, so I will be serving our dinner on my fun little holiday plates. I use them all throughout December, not just for the fancy meal on, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or New Year's. I'm actually planning a New Year's Day brunch and Bloody Mary bar this year. I usually do Christmas Eve. I'm not doing Christmas Eve this year, but I'm doing these other things. So we'll get that ready. And I think that I have shared everything that I had to share. Now it's just time to see how it's doing. Let me check this one more time. I think we're probably done on the chicken. You can see the cheese is cheesy in there. Let me get my other hot plate or hot pad. I don't want to. And there it is. So we're going to take that out. And we will plate it, and we'll be ready to go. So I'm just going to do the little one. A little bit of chicken here. Make sure I get the cheese and the cranberry and the walnuts. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of the green beans. I'll get this down to a better science of going live after I've done it a few times. So we've got our green beans here. And that's plated and ready to go. And then there we hear the Brie alerting me. So stand by 1 minute. I'm going to grab that out. And there is our fabulous baked Brie with the walnuts and the honey and all the good stuff. So I could, if I would ideally, I would have my other little holiday plates that we would serve this ahead of time, but I just wanted to showcase this for you. So we would just take a little bit of it off. People can scoop out what they want for the appetizer. Put a few little crackers. And there we're good to go. So we have our main dish, which is the cranberry Brie Gruyere stuffed chicken breasts, our bacon, red onion, green beans, our appetizer, which is the baked feta and rosemary crackers, and then, of course, as a little after bit, we have our chocolate-covered fruit, blueberries, and I actually have some pomegranate seeds in this one, as well as pistachios, the pecans, and I did a couple of macadamia nuts. And there you have a fabulous festive meal. We did this in 36 minutes on the live, but about 30 minutes to pull that off. See, I am Rachel Ray. Remember Rachel Ray, her 30-minute meals? I am channeling my inner Rachel Ray. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for those of you who joined me live. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your shares. I really appreciate that. I plan to do this on a regular basis. This has been a goal of mine forever. I love cooking. I love entertaining. I love all of that. And I love more than anything teaching people how to eat wholesome, nutritious, whole foods, again, that feed the mind, the body, and the spirit. Jackie Ulmer, grab my guide over at lowertoxiclife.com, and I will see you on the next live show. All right, now let's see if I can figure out how to shut this off. Stop streaming. Yes.